What I'm curious, did you watch this weekend? What did you seek out?
I saw the first night of the G1, so that was already like a pretty big time investment. I watched the second half of Collision, which ended up probably being like the lesser talked about half of Collision. And of course, I watched Yoshihiko versus Mike Bailey.
Yeah, we both, as we all complain about how much there was to watch, both of us made time to watch that. I thought that was spectacular. I
So
thought
much
it
fun.
was like, it's not even to me okay, it might not be your preference. If you cannot appreciate like having an 18-minute match with a doll that has 800 people at the Melrose Ballroom captivated, my rule is you can hate it, but you have to be able to replicate that if it's just so mindless. And so, like, that to me would be so much harder than doing any type of pro wrestling match.
Mm-hmm. I've always felt that way about any of these Yoshihiko matches or Kenny Omega wrestling, a little girl, like any of these types of performances that tend to I think what people have an issue with is that maybe it like sort of like maybe they believe mocks sort of like the I don't know, immersion of something like what professional wrestling should be, and that's supposed to be some sort of like believable simulation of real life. But that's not why we all enjoy pro wrestling. Certainly when you watch something like The Undertaker, what sort of simulation is that? It's about entertainment. It's about like, impressive physical feats, and watching a Yoshihiko match is always a very impressive physical feat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this like a larger topic than it is, but like number one, this is probably your most dedicated, loyal pro wrestling followers that are seeking something like this out. They have a clear appreciation for the art of it that I think you can find in something like this. I love the fact that within 12 hours, I watched Speedball Mike Bailey and Yoshihiko. And the next morning, I was watching Katsuhiko Nakajima and Kento Miyahara. And this is all professional wrestling. And I can appreciate wide variances of it. And I mean, there's so much larger real stuff that makes the industry look poor and embarrassing. This is hardly it. And I like, you don't have to like it. I'm not here to legislate what you like and dislike. But to me, it's like, I just watched that and I'm super impressed. Like, it would be no different than someone going up and doing a sketch comedy show all by themselves on a stage. And I would be in awe of that, of having no one to play off of and having an audience captivated and watching you and keeping their interest and growing throughout 18 minutes. Like, that to me is an unbelievable achievement that someone could pull off.
Well, I would suggest this might be more akin to somebody getting up on stage and performing the entirety of The Godfather by themselves, with them playing every single character, because that's basically what we saw with Mike Bailey versus Yoshihiko. A replication,
which would be clever for the first 2 minutes of someone trying this, but by minute 18, I would be like, wow, this is dreadful to imagine.
Yeah. I almost don't even want to spoil it, like, for people that haven't seen it. So if you ever intend on going out to watch it, just sign up for, what is it, Fight Plus?
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Fight Plus.
Fight Plus.
You know, the GCW show from Friday night.
Yeah, go and do yourself a favor, watch it. Utami Hayashishita is also on the show, taking on Lufisto in the main event. Worth going out just to kind of watch all those things, of course. But if you don't care, or if you just want to listen on, so what happened was Mike Bailey and Yoshihiko. Of course, if you don't even know who that is,
don't ruin who won.
Yoshihiko, of course, the blow up doll, made famous in DDT via Kota Ibushi and several others. Mike Bailey had this match with a blow up doll, and move for a good portion of the entire match, replicated Omega versus Ospreay number 2. Now, at what point, John, did it click in your head that that's what was being attempted here?
Oh, I think as soon as the Oscutter spot was hit, I realized what he was doing here, and then
I watched it knowing that he was doing that, and from the get-go you see like everything was there, including like the opening sort of like headlock sequences, all the way to like a you can't escape attempt, and of course everything with Matt.
How many times do you think he's watched that match?
A guy like Mike Bailey, I'm sure more than 5 times. Yeah, he's a studier for sure.
Yeah, we should get him back on. It was like, yeah, best of the Super Juniors was nice. You've done all these matches. We want to talk about the Yoshihiko match with you.
Yeah, well, we should get Yoshihiko, really. We've already spoken to Mike Bailey.
Maybe we could get both of them on together.
Well,
screen.
As much as I think,
depending on Yoshihiko's condition, I mean, did get a punctured forehead.
I guess does Yoshihiko speak English? That's the biggest question.
Might need
Maybe we'll get a translator. Yeah,
it was great. Like the rolling German spot, I was just like, it was unreal.
Some of these things are just like,
I don't care. Like you have to. There has to be a portion, and it's funny because. Like it was always the saying, like this guy could have a great match with a broomstick. And that was like considered such a compliment. I was like, okay, let's imagine Ric Flair literally wrestling with a broomstick. Would it be that entertaining?
Ric Flair, Yoshihiko. I think that's a dream match, really. We could still get it. You know, Ric
Flair's real last match.
His real last match. Yoshihiko retires Ric Flair.
That was my last match against a human. That would be the one allowance I think people would give Flair to break.
Somebody tell Conrad to convince him to do that. But like you said, John, like an analogy I like to make is you saying that like wrestling should only be one thing is like saying movies should only be dramatic Oscar Best Picture nominee films. Mm-hmm. When we all love how many people would be out there saying you like comedies? What's wrong with you? Movies should reflect real life. They should be completely as simulations of real life. You like sci-fi? That that stuff like it completely kills my immersion. It bastardizes the art form of filmmaking. I mean, how silly does that sound? Or people who think like, oh, music should only be classical, like what, like rap, like these guys don't even play instruments. Like, how silly does that sound? And why are we making pro wrestling the same?
It's all in what you're seeking out. Like, I'm always curious to see like what works with people, what limits can you expand upon that ultimately you are just trying to deliver to an audience. And if an audience is engaged by it, then I think you should learn from that, and you can dismiss it. Again, like it doesn't have to be everyone's cup of tea, much like a match on the G1 doesn't have to be your cup of tea. There's definitely a match we're going to talk about that was not my cup of tea today, and that's fine. That is art. Like, it is not going to be my love of something might be Wei's hatred of something, and that's cool. Like, and stuff like this is usually it's the opposite, like where you might have had like a more acceptance of a match like that. But I can't watch that 18 minutes and not be just very impressed at what I'm seeing, and somebody pulling this off and an audience on their feet for this as well. Like, I just think like that takes an unbelievable amount of skill. And if you can't at least acknowledge that, I think you just greatly underestimate what that entails to do in front of an audience. And you can apply it to any art form of handicapping someone in that respect to give a performance.
Yeah. And I swear, everybody, this is a G1 review.
No, we're done. That's it.
We don't always go on these tangents, okay? Especially our other co-hosts. They're not going to, spend all like 10 minutes talking about Yoshihiko. But
there's a lot of stuff from the weekend I want to chat with you about, but we'll save that for Monday night after Raw, because there was so much coming out of the show. But let us fast forward to the G1.
And before we even do that, let's remember this is a free show. So hello, everybody listening to us on probably a Monday morning. A lot of you guys, this is part of our Post Wrestling Cafe G1 coverage that we have been doing every single summer now, as part of our bonus coverage over on postwrestlingcafe.com.
This is the 11th summer I've done these.
That's crazy. Wow. We didn't celebrate 10 years.
No, it came and went.
Well, 11 is a pretty big number as well. So,
but the first few were just myself talking in a room by myself. I mean, it wasn't, I didn't get in too many arguments or debate with anybody.
You were having a Yoshihiko match with your G1 coverage.
I guess so. I guess so. So that was, that was how these started, how I kept myself busy at a time when I was not all that busy.
That is right. Yeah, it's been an annual tradition for John Pollock for 11 years. It's been 5 years for me. But this year, of course, we also have a bunch of other people joining us as well. Bruce Lord and Karen Peterson, who did a great job covering opening night, which you can find right now over at the Post Wrestling Cafe. WH Park and Eric Marcotte will be teaming up later on in this series. So bonus shows every single card of the G1 for those who subscribe at the Post Wrestling Cafe for $6 a month, or video.postwrestling.com, or even on Apple Podcasts for those of you listening there.
Yeah, it's a great time to jump on board. You will have every G1 card covered for you, in addition to all of our other regular shows on the cafe, Rewind to SmackDown, Collision Course, all of it coming your way on the Post Wrestling Cafe.